This video is brought to you by Squarespace. When it comes to sharing our photography online, there are so many options and it becomes really overwhelming trying to decide what is worth our precious time and energy. A lot of us can tend to focus on a platform that isn't necessarily serving us well, or we spread ourselves too thin trying to be everywhere all at once, and this leaves us feeling frustrated, tired, and unmotivated. So in this video, I'm going to give you the pros and cons of a selected number of platforms that I have personal extensive experience with. I'm going to share with you who I think these platforms suit based on goals, skill, personality, and what you want out of sharing your photography with the world. Just remember, as you're watching this video, every platform is not for you, and that's actually a good thing. After watching this video, you will have clarity on which platform is the best for you and what is worth you spending your time on in 2025. Before we break down the options, we must address something that is so very important and will save you so much time. Answering this question: what is your why? In other words, what are your reasonings and goals behind wanting to share your photography with the world? What do you hope to get out of it? Do you want to build community? Are you wanting to monetize this endeavor? Do you want to grow your presence as an artist in the hope of having something like a gallery show? Maybe you are just wanting to have fun and challenge yourself, or meet a group of like-minded people online who you can share your beloved photography hobby with. Whatever your reasoning is, this step is really integral, and you must dig deep and be honest with yourself when asking this question, because you don't want to choose a platform based on something that is somebody else's goal or expectation or want, only to waste your precious time and then lose momentum as a photographer sharing your work with the world. Let's jump into the different options where you can share your photography online and beyond in 2025. The first platform we're going to talk about is Substack. This is my absolute favorite. If you are not familiar with Substack, I'll give a brief overview. So basically, it is a newsletter platform that gets sent out via email to people who subscribe to your newsletter. Substack is also its own app and platform with a separate interface that kind of acts a little bit like Twitter, a little bit like a blog post like we used to do, or something like Tumblr. You can share images, writing, and you can also monetize on Substack with paid subscriptions. It is gaining a lot of popularity lately. There are so many people jumping over to Substack who are frustrated with things like Instagram. So let's start with the pros of Substack. There are a lot. There's very little barrier to entry when it comes to posting on Substack, which is really great if you want to take a chance and start posting on there. If it doesn't quite work out or fit with you, it's okay. You are not losing much because you've just made some posts on there. You could literally get started right now with a Substack that shares both your photography and your writing, your opinions, your camera reviews, whatever it is that you want to share. You could literally, after this video, have a Substack done by the end of the day. Good news for photographers is that Substack allows you to share your images uncropped and in high resolution, unlike Instagram. You can caption these images within your post, and you can just add a few little bits of writing and make it mostly photography based. I am finding that there is a real community, an actual community feel on Substack, and people are willing to spend more time with your content. It also goes direct to someone's email as opposed to being out there in an algorithm where you don't really have control over who it's being delivered or shown to. If someone signs up for your Substack, they're going to get it in their email. It's also great for people who love writing, and I do find a lot of photographers also have a flair for writing, whether it's technical reviews or something like poetry. This gives you the ability to go deeper with your community and show people more than just your photography. The engagement on Substack is a lot more quality as well, and you'll find that people are willing to have conversations, and you can also direct message on there. It really is such a great platform, and I think it's still very underrated. Now, let's go over the few cons of Substack. It's not just as simple as starting a Substack and then loads of people will sign up and see it. You do have to work to make things unique or interesting with your headlines, and you have to get people to actually open that email newsletter that's being sent to them. There is a little bit of strategy here in making sure that you are thinking about what someone would want to read, keeping them engaged with the written word, which actually isn't as hard as it sounds in 2025 when video is dominating, especially as people are getting very fatigued with that kind of empty content. I actually, to be honest with you, really can't see many cons to starting Substack because it is so easy to just get started today. But I would say if you really, really do not like writing, you are somebody who struggles to write and you do not enjoy it, maybe Substack's not the best, but you could 100% jump on there and just share your photography. There are plenty of Substack accounts that are very photo focused, less words, more photos. So have a look around on the platform, see what other people are doing. I will link some of my favorites below and see if Substack is something that you think you would like to do in 2025. All right, let's go to the big bad wolf. Everybody loves to hate this platform, especially photographers, and that is Instagram. I actually think that Instagram is going through a few major changes this year that will be beneficial to photographers. I am noticing that static posts are getting a lot more reach than they used to if you post them correctly with carousels and engaging captions, which is great news for all of us who just want it to be like how it used to be, where we could post our photos. I'm also noticing that older content is being pushed out and things aren't just dying after 24 hours, which is really great. I think that Instagram is trying to rival YouTube with more evergreen styles of content, which gives your content that you've put a lot of time and effort into, or your really great photo that you've posted, more opportunity to get in front of more people on the platform. I also think there's a huge shift this year where the platforms are carving out their own specific audience and niche, rather than all competing with each other for the same thing, which just leads to everyone creating the same types of content. I know that there's so many people out there who have all these like social media predictions and there's social media gurus. I am 100% not trying to be one of those people. I am just trying to make sure that you don't give up on Instagram, as I do think it's changing and it can be a very powerful platform if you know how to use it right. A little tip on how I use it to make it work for me as a photographer. I think of it as the handshake. It's my billboard. It's the trailer for the full-length movie that is here on YouTube. I have things like a podcast, a Substack, a YouTube channel, and I really want people to come over here or there because that's where I can really, really connect with you. So I use Instagram to show people a little bit of it, talk about cameras, talk about things just in a light way, get you involved and make you feel invited. And then you can discover me on all of the longer form platforms that are way more valuable and exciting for me to create. So if you start to reframe your mind and think of Instagram in that way, like you're just spreading the word, trying to find your people, and then use something like Substack, how I mentioned earlier, that's an email list that you own, not something that Meta owns. That would be a great strategy for 2025. So let's cover some pros for using Instagram as photographers. Chances are you probably already have it, so you don't need to set it up. You can just change your strategy a little bit and get moving for 2025. It's really great for discoverability. There are so many people on the platform. And if you know how to create content for it, it can be so, so powerful. In the last 30 days, I've had over 1 million people view my Instagram, which is crazy. Whilst posting on Instagram might weigh on you emotionally, it's actually really not that big of a deal. To make a quick post or you've done a quick little reel, it doesn't pop off. It doesn't really matter. You can do another one. It's a lot more of a task to create a whole YouTube video for like no one to see it. Trust me, I know how that feels. Okay, so the cons, and I'm just going to keep this brief. Despite what I said about static posts and carousels and things changing, video is definitely still very dominant. So if you're on Instagram, it's kind of more or less forcing you to do video. On that note though, I will share a video that I watched recently by Evan Ranft, who's created a whole Instagram account where he's just posted photos every day, static posts only. Really interesting experiment. If you are keen, I'll link it below. A huge con of Instagram is that it's really hard to build any connection. Can photographers relate to this? You post a photo and either you get no engagement or people comment and they just say fire, 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 or banger or whatever it is, which is really nice and lovely to have, but it's not actually inciting any true conversation or discourse around photography. It's really hard to get actual, true, valuable engagement on the platform and build community as everything's moving so fast and it's quite sort of throwaway. So who do I think Instagram suits? Well, if you are somebody like me who loves being on camera, I think it would be the perfect place for you to put your time and energy into. If you don't mind playing the game a little bit and being strategic with what the algorithm wants, then it's perfect for you. If that sounds truly awful to you and you have a very negative mindset towards Instagram, like all you do is complain about it, feel frustrated by it, and think that it owes you something, you want it to be exactly how it used to be, that is never going to happen. It will only move probably more towards how it is now. Those days are gone, they're over. And if you can't get over that, literally just delete the app and just forget about Instagram. Because if you come at it with that mindset, you will never get anywhere on the platform. Sorry, but someone had to say it. If you're a photographer feeling frustrated by the new Instagram grid layout and want more control over the way your work is represented, then I would recommend building a website with Squarespace and unlock the freedom to customize your online presence the way you see fit. The Design Intelligence feature allows you to unlock 2 decades of industry-leading design expertise so you can build a bespoke gallery that showcases your photography in your own way. There are plenty of features like an online shop and SEO tools that allow your website to grow with you as a photographer so you can sell prints, guides, or presets and show up more in search. My favorite thing about Squarespace is the endless opportunity when it comes to adding pages, fonts, drop-downs, and being able to customize it all myself without needing to hire someone every time I want to make a change or add something. So give your photography the online presence it deserves by heading to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to www.squarespace.com/LucyLumen to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Links are in the description to get started with Squarespace today. The next platform might be quite unexpected to you, and that is podcasting. I really believe that there are not enough podcasts in the world, and everybody is listening to podcasts more and more. So there is definite room for everyone, especially if you are someone who wants to share your thoughts, your ideas, you want to interview people, maybe you want to do camera reviews, offer tips. There's endless things you could do with podcasting, and it is very, very, very easy to get started. In fact, I would say it's maybe the lowest barrier to entry on this list, which might surprise you. Whilst it's all well and good to have a fancy microphone, and that's something you can do later on, you can literally get started with your phone. Just speak close into the microphone and have some kind of recording app, and you've got a podcast. You can also host your podcast for free. There are free editing services. Podcasting builds real deep connection. You are able to fully flesh out your ideas and not have to squish them into like a minute reel or TikTok. You can really go deep on a subject or a topic. If you're somebody who wants to talk about the history of a photographer or the history of a camera or something like that, where you've done this really great essay, you can read it out as a podcast. And I'm sure so many people in the photography space would want to listen to that. Podcasting is great too, because it can also be repurposed in so many other ways, even if you're not filming it. You can easily get a transcription of what you've said, and you can chunk it out and turn it into a Substack. There you go, podcast and a Substack in 2025. You're welcome. Personally, I think it's a lot easier to hold someone's attention on a podcast. Think about when you put your headphones in to listen to a podcast. You're normally driving, exercising, doing a chore, walking around, cleaning the house, something like that. And you'll give it a lot longer than you will when you're staring at your phone, looking at all the other shiny YouTube videos you could be watching, and click off the one that you're watching right now. Please don't do that to me. All of these pros of podcasting is why I brought mine back this year, because I have a lot of thoughts, clearly, and a lot to say. And podcasting is a very easy way for me to just record what I'm thinking in the moment and then put it out for you guys to listen to. Whereas with a YouTube video, I need to set up all of this lighting and record and then edit, and it's a lot more involved. So check mine out below if you need some podcasting inspo, or if you want to see what I've been sharing this year on the podcast. So there are a few cons, of course, and one of them is quite big, and that's discoverability. It is very, very hard to get discovered on a podcasting platform. And someone needs to do something about this because I am always looking for new podcasts and I Google photography podcasts or movie review podcasts to find them. And I really wish that Spotify or Apple had a better way of showing me new podcasts that they think that I would like. So because discoverability is hard and you have your podcast and you obviously want people to listen to it, you will have to do some form of marketing around it. Probably the most fun thing about having a podcast is interviewing people. You get to learn while you're talking to them, and your audience will 100% love the diversity and getting to hear from someone new. The bonus here is that your guest is likely to post on their own social media and spread the word that they were a guest on your podcast, and this will expose you to their audience, giving you new listeners. The next platform is YouTube. So I have been on YouTube for a little bit longer than 3 years now, and it has totally changed my life. It's projected my personal photography into a whole other realm. I've built connections, made friendships, and had career opportunities that I could only dream of. In the general landscape of social media, YouTube, in my opinion, is king, but that doesn't mean that it's easy. Often the platform with the highest return, whether that be exposure or financial return, will be the most difficult. I know a lot of you dream of having your own photography YouTube channel, so let's jump in with the pros. The great thing about making photography YouTube videos is you get to go a lot deeper than just your photo. If you are somebody who has a particular process around how you create images, YouTube is such a great way to share that with your audience. Often when we put a face to the photograph, it is a lot more powerful. And if you are somebody who really wants to attach yourself to your work and there be an artist side of what you're doing, YouTube is the perfect place to do that. Out of all of these platforms, I think YouTube is really high up there with building connection and community. I have people who have watched this channel from the very beginning and they never miss a video. Just look at Ali from 1 Month 2 Cameras. She has built up a very large devoted community in such a short space of time just through something niche like sharing vintage digital cameras. So if you're sitting there right now and you have something specific in photography that you love, definitely consider sharing it on YouTube. The other great thing is that YouTube is so amazing for evergreen content. This means your content lives on for a really long time. So you might notice that when you search something on YouTube, you'll get a video pop up that was put out 5 or even 10 years ago, and the algorithm is still serving that to people. It means that the effort you put in creating is going to last for a lot longer than something like Instagram or TikTok. In terms of money-making opportunities, which isn't the only reason to start a YouTube channel. In fact, if that's the only reason you're starting it, maybe don't. But there's definitely a good opportunity to earn some extra money as a side hustle, or maybe you take off and it becomes your full-time job. It's a lot easier to do that on YouTube than it is on Instagram. Just to put it into perspective and to be totally transparent with you, this channel earns between 300 to 500 Australian dollars a month just from ad revenue. So you really need sponsorships or getting huge amount of views to be earning a full-time living from YouTube. Based on what I earn from ad revenue, my hourly rate is pretty bad. But that's okay because I enjoy doing it. Let's go over some cons of YouTube. It is a very steep learning curve if you have no prior skills. Think about it. You need to deal with lighting if you're going to be talking indoors like I am now. You need to learn video, which if you're a photographer, there'll be some crossover, but video is pretty involved. You've got audio, you then have to edit the video. You've got to work out how things work on YouTube, like thumbnail, title, all the optimization for things like that. So you're really wearing a lot of hats. So consider that if you are starting a YouTube channel and make it easy for yourself. There's always room to work up to better looking videos, better sounding videos. You can learn as you go and still be putting stuff out. That is what I did, and look at me now. You have to understand that YouTube is a long game. So if you're someone who's really impatient or you want something to be happening like right now and you need that immediate satisfaction, YouTube might not be the place for you because it does take a while for things to grow and take off, and you have to believe in yourself and the process, keep being strategic, looking back, improving, and really stay the course. You do not need to come out of the park with your first YouTube video being perfect. I know photographers are often perfectionists. Just go back and watch my early videos. Some of them are so cringe now and I consider taking them down, but I won't because I think it's important to show where I started. I have a video that I first shared on my channel about the Nikon L35 AF and it has about 30,000 views now. It still gets viewed now. But I say some really cringe things in there and it's definitely not filmed or lit in a professional way, but it really doesn't matter. It's just about getting started. Another con to starting a photography YouTube channel is it's very saturated because a lot of people want to do it. Don't let that put you off. But there is a very sort of high standard, I think, because photographers tend to be people who are maybe interested in like the technical side of things as well. So there's a lot of like swishy, good looking channels out there, which kind of raises the bar. Whereas in other niches on YouTube, you'll look and you'll see that like the bar is a lot lower. But don't let that put you off. Like I said, get started and then as you go, you can build and get better. I would say that YouTube is for a person who enjoys a challenge, likes learning, and does to some extent enjoy like the editing process or the technical side. You know, you want to be buying like new gear and work out how to make things look good or sound good or do transitions or just have some level of interest in that whole process because that is a huge part of it. If you don't really commit to YouTube and put out consistent videos in some form, it will be really hard to build any momentum. But in saying that, you might just want to put out a couple of YouTube videos, try it and have fun, make it your goal for 2025 and be fine with it not growing in these huge numbers. And that's totally fine. It is really fun making videos. I would really urge you to choose 1 to 2 platforms and just focus on those. Get those under control first, and then you can move on or have these strategies where you're repurposing content in other places to sort of spread the word about you and your work. Overall, the messaging here is finding what works for you and making sure that it aligns with your goals and what you want. Make sure you're picking the platform that reflects that. There is also, of course, options offline and out in the world. If you are somebody who is not really taken with the whole online thing, then you might want to prioritize in real life connections. If this is you, I would suggest submitting to open calls for gallery shows or magazine features, possibly making your own zine. You could sell prints in local shops, just getting out there in your community, joining photography groups. Maybe you share your photography with the people in that group privately. If you have a dream of being shown in a gallery, it's really good to be attending other people's shows and connecting with local artists or gallery owners and kind of connecting with those people so they know you're there and then they can come to you if they think that something would be suitable for you and your photography. I truly believe that pairing that technique with some sort of online presence will definitely help you because let's face it, it's 2025 and everything is largely online. So why not take advantage of that as well? My top pick out of all these platforms would be Substack. I reckon that's where it's at in 2025. So if you start a Substack, let me know and I will subscribe to it. I'm really excited to see what you do over there. Whilst posting on Instagram, I'm trying to say
the virus.